Okay, here we go. That probably sounded horrible. Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of the All-You-Can-Read LitRPG Podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about a book I just finished. So I started earlier this week. It is called Initialization. It is the first book in the Rise of the Winter Wolf series. So yeah, we'll get into that. I did realize after I did my list that I that I screwed it up. Because I didn't even include Primal Hunter on that list. So that was a oversight on my part. I'll have to redo my list and I'll post it to YouTube or provide a link or something somewhere. In case you're interested, you can check those out. But yeah, so this will hopefully be a little bit of a shorter episode than last week or last one. Episode 1 was a little long, going through that full list and doing the intro and everything. But hopefully you found a new book on there that you can go read and enjoy. So let's talk about Winter Wolf. So Initialization, this book is it's kind of a mishmash of a few things. So it is apocalyptic in the sense that it's the end of the world. You have the system introduced, typical string there that probably, if you've read anything the likes of System Apocalypse or Natural Laws or several other ones, you kind of have a pretty good idea of what's going on there. However, they don't stay on Earth for long. They are transported to planet Aegis, which is a new planet created to house the mixed intelligent species of the entire Milky Way galaxy. This is done at the behest of one of the administrators of the system. And that's kind of all you find out quickly that I'm willing to just throw out there without, so I'm not giving any spoilers. Even based on the subtitle of this book, it takes just a little bit, but you do find out that this is a live stream dungeon concept. So this would be similar to like a Dungeon Crawler Carl type setup. This book was a little bit tough for me to get through. I picked it up because it was had the live stream dungeon thing in there. I really enjoyed Dungeon Crawler Carl and was hoping to find a book kind of in a similar vein there. And in some ways, I got it. So this is the other end now of what we talked about with the top 12 list. So the top 12 list, is books that kind of highlight why the genre is awesome. This book, to me, kind of highlights the other side, some of the rough patches in it. It definitely has its redeeming qualities. So let's talk about the good first. The book has a lot of interesting ideas. You can tell there's a lot of creative work that goes on here. There's the systems in place. As you get into the book a little bit, you start to notice there is quite a bit of there is a fairly broad political landscape out there, different political entities that exist post initialization for their systems. Several already existing administrators, moderators, several kingdoms, empires, a whole bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes, all with what appears at least to be uh, kind of established connections, alliances, rivalries, those things that you would expect. So there's a lot of creative work there behind the scenes. You can tell there was a lot, there's a lot of thought put into it, and that has a lot of promise. Depending on how well it's played out in future books, there's potential there. Likewise, so every person, when they're initialized into the system, they get an ability. They call it a soul-bound ability. It's bound to them and grows with them as they level. They showcase quite a few different abilities, a lot of different things that people can do, and that is very interesting. Has a lot of potential. Likewise, several different races, class choices, classes that give variants, new abilities and new powers, new things unlocked with your ability, new effects, I should say, unlocked with the soulbound ability as they level. So a whole bunch of work there, a lot of potentially very interesting dynamics there as things kind of change and evolve and grow. The dungeon structure is fairly interesting in terms of potential, and the structure itself. It reading through, the author clearly has long-term plans. Leaves me both hopeful and a little concerned. So the length of the administrator dungeon is supposed to be 1,000 floors. Book 1 covered the first 10 floors. So that there's things that happen that obviously indicate that there are the author already has plans for what happens after the administrator dungeon. If we continue at the rate of 10 floors per book, that's gonna be interesting to see how that goes through. But there was quite a bit of good there. There's some interesting abilities, interesting skills. So there's levels, skills seem to be the primary forms of advancement. Along with equipment. There's some interesting setups for loot boxes and tiers for the skills, tiers for equipment. Several interesting options for progression in that respect. That said, the level system and the RPG type of mechanics kind of end there. It is for people familiar with the term. So I guess it's what you might consider. So like if you've heard of Brandon Sanderson's classification for, I don't know if he invented it actually. That's where I encountered it, but people talking about hard magic systems versus soft magic systems. So, like how well defined and spelled out all of the rules are for everything. I prefer like a hard RPG system. Things where stats and skills and increases are codified and spelled out, right? This is not that. This is definitely more of a soft RPG system. You do gain levels, but all we really know is that levels improve. When you gain a level, everything improves. Every aspect of you physically as a person improves. Things that are evidenced fairly quickly in the book is that stamina obviously improves, endurance improves. So things like how much sleep you need, some of those kinds of things improve as they level. Not super clear or shown, how much does strength improve, how much does dexterity improve, how much does coordination improve. Some of those things not really spelled out very well, and you don't really see evidence of that improvement throughout the book specifically. So for me, that aspect doesn't sit as well. For others, I don't think people will be nearly as. I don't think some people will be nearly as frustrated with that as I was. It's just one aspect of lit RPGs that I tend to enjoy. So I would say this maybe leans just slightly more toward almost like the game lit rather than lit RPG. But still there, still present. The he interacts with some characters that have massive levels. So interesting to see where that goes, how much he digs into that in the future. So that's kind of the middle ground. So some of the downsides, and this is why I talk about this being on the opposite end of the spectrum from the top 12 list. So the book definitely needed some attention from an editor or a proofreader or somebody to fill that role. There are quite a few typos. They're harder than, or more jarring than the typos to me. The writing itself feels underdeveloped. You have a lot of like really short, short sentence, single sentence paragraphs. The dialogue between characters, especially early on, definitely struggles. The writing itself struggles in a few ways with being focused on descriptions in maybe the wrong areas, and feeling it comes across feeling just very blunt and bare bones. I guess would be maybe the best way to describe it. I think it just needed another draft or two. Just a chance to kind of go through it, flesh it out some more, tie some more in together. The dialogue being rough, that's one that a lot of people really struggle with dialogue, with coming up with good dialogue. So that that aspect is maybe a little more forgivable. But the sad part is that you can tell there's a lot of creativity, a lot of world building, and a lot of really interesting ideas that just are not allowed to shine through properly because the writing, it feels like it didn't get enough attention. Um, that said, I would definitely rather have the option to read the book rather than have it rather than having been submitted to a publishing house and then buried and died and never saw the light of day. um I so I think I believe there's at least 3 books out in this series so far. um and I will be it might take me just a little bit to get back to it because I do have some other books that I would really like to read. um but I'll be keeping tabs on it. I'll try to read through the other 2 books because I am interested to see where some of the ideas go. Um, the other thing that I struggled with in the book is some of the characters and some of the concepts do come across as, I don't know. Some people would probably just describe it cringy. I don't know if I would. I don't know if that's quite how I would put it. Um, so the main character's name is Wolf. Um, he comes from a family of assassins that are retired, apparently. Um, it's not really specified. It just says they work for the government. It doesn't really specify what or who. No details. Um, the main character and his sister were both being trained by their parents to take on the role until their parents retired. No real description of why they retired. And while the whole child of the family of assassins thing does come across as, I'm not sure if overdone is quite the right word either, but my larger complaint than just the background is that it just comes across as, I think because the writing struggles, it comes across as particularly poorly done. um I think I understand some of where the author was coming from and why they took that path. Um, kind of show that they're different, give the main character a reason for being able to survive and being able to be not so mentally affected by some of the things that happen and whatnot. But it just doesn't come across well, in my opinion. Um, some of the character interactions, the main character's interactions with some of his friends and some of those things also just comes across as very awkward. Um, so those things really combine to just make it a little rough. It's rough. I think it really feels to me like there's some really good uh bones to the story underneath, but they just don't show well. They just don't shine through well. Um, it'll be interesting to see where the story goes from here. So, like I said, I will keep tabs on it. Um, we'll read a little more, see what else it has to do, or where it goes from here. But yeah, overall, I think because the a lot of the systems aren't really for me. The soft RPG style is not really my favorite. Um, and then the narrowness of development of progression that's been shown so far. Even though there were a couple of aspects to it, whether it's because it's just not fully fleshed out in book one, so there might be more to it as we go, or there just isn't any more to it. I just don't know yet. But because of those two things combined, I would probably take 1 star away on a review. And then the roughness of the writing, I would take off anywhere from 1.5 stars to 2 stars. So for me, this book ends up somewhere between 2.5 stars. That said, I did do some digging and looked it up in some other places. It's rated fairly well on Goodreads. It's rated fairly well on Kindle. On the Kindle on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited, which is where you can read the book, by the way. If you decide if you don't know, or if you're new to lit RPGs and you want to know where to read these, Kindle Unlimited, and they don't sponsor this or anything like that, but Kindle Unlimited is a great place, is a great way to go, just because there are so many of these books are all on Kindle Unlimited. Audible has quite a few, I've noticed. Most of them have or a lot of them have an Audible version, so that's available as an option. You can find some through libraries and through services like Scribd, which is a Audible competitor type service, but also can provide printed copies of books, or not printed, but digital format. So those are some good sources to go get these and read these if you're wondering where to find these. You don't have to shell out $10 a book or $15 a book, or whatever to go through and read these. If you're into the soft lit RPG systems, this might be a bit more of a read for you. One to take a look at. Or if you are, a little more lenient or unbothered, by the quality of the writing, and are definitely more into the quality of the ideas, this one might be a little more for you as well. Like I said, I think that I think on Goodreads and on Amazon, it was closer to like a 4.4, 4.5. And anywhere from, I think 800 to about 2,000 reviews, at least on Goodreads. I don't remember the Kindle numbers. So yeah, check it out, see what you think. Give it a little bit of a read. See if it's something that interests you. I would say if you're going to give it a shot, try to at least push all the way through until the start of the Administrator Dungeon, because it does get better from there. Just, I think, more by virtue of the fact that, the main character is like not really with anybody else. The main character is mostly solo through there. So less dialogue on the main character's part, less really struggling interactions between characters and some of those pieces. So at least go through till there and give it a shot. If you're going to give it a shot, and if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's, hopefully we can find something else that you'll enjoy. If you have any suggestions or thoughts that you'd like to add, if you've read the book and you have a different opinion than me, please post it in the comments. Let's, I'd love to hear from you. Love to talk about it. And then, we will catch you next time. I have picked up and already started reading 2 Week Curse. So that will probably be the next one that we dive into a little bit. That is another one by Chatfield, who did the who was on our top 10, our top 12 list for the Emerald books. So we'll be giving that one a read through and see what we think there. Love to hear from you, and until next time. Bye.